Brett Saratod, Philadelphia Inquirer. 16 points out of Joel, 5-18. That's uncharacteristic. What did you see from him tonight?
I mean, I thought you got to give credit to Marc Gasol. He was the defensive player of the year for a reason. I thought Serge, came in and did a good job athletically, especially, making it difficult for Joel. And I got to help him more. I think getting him into the post different ways and freeing him up a little bit more than we did is something that I have to look at. But I give Toronto credit for their defensive effort tonight.
Coach, John Schumann, NBA.com. How far has Kawhi Leonard come along as a scorer since you were with him in San Antonio?
Leaps and bounds, incrementally, just every year gets more dominant. And even when I came to Philadelphia, those years that I was in Philadelphia, looking in the rearview mirror of him evolving under Pop and in the San Antonio Spurs system, that you could just see this thing's trending in an incredible way. And to sort of fast forward that and look at his skill package tonight and the variety of ways that he scored and could get his shot off on some pretty good defensive players and big athletes was incredibly impressive.
Hey, Brett, that wave over here to your right, the wave that Toronto hit you with in the middle of the first quarter, was that something just so different from the first round series that almost a team needs to adjust to when it goes up against opponent at this next stage of the postseason?
I mean, I wouldn't want to commit or own that you need it. I don't feel that. But what I do feel is because it happened, I think that reality stick, stings a little bit. And so we felt it with Brooklyn. We came out and needed to do better in the first game at Brooklyn. There were some things that, as I'm feeling the game and obviously not watching the tape, that we can do better just executing what we tried to get done. I think that there are some individual performances that we'd like to have back. These guys, we can all get better. I can do a better job on maybe freeing up Joe, or maybe showing even more of a crowd to Siakam or Kawhi. But in general, I wish you didn't need something like this to jump into a series. But we're not going home. We're not going away. We will dig in and come back better in Game 2.
Coach, Steve Brotherston, Pro B-Ball Report. Prior to the game, you were talking about you weren't going to play scared. You were going to do what you've been successful at. And on the boards, you were quite good, and you dominated second chance points. Toronto, on their side, dominated on the fast break points. Is this a trade-off you can live with going forward?
I hope so. I hope so. We had the turnovers still are too many. You'd like to have, a handful of those back. I'll be curious when you look at the tape and we say, because, Tobias, as an example, crashed the boards, we got punished going the other way. I didn't feel like that was a result of the transition points because we went to the offensive boards. I could be wrong when I look at the tape, but to your question, is it a trade-off? I hope not.
Brett, Kyle Newbeck, Philly Voice. You decided to go with Furkan as the bench wing tonight after losing Mike and having to slide James up. I guess, why did you go with him, and were you happy with what he gave you out there?
Yeah. The short answer is shooting. We felt with the way Toronto guards, they really scramble well. They're unafraid of attack and penetration, that if we were going to, and we needed to obviously without Mike, find another wing, you can go with Zaire, Jonathan, Furkan. You had to choose from that, say, group. we felt Furkan's ability to score was the trade-off we were prepared to live with. We felt defensively we could put him in environments that wouldn't entirely expose him. But the true answer is when we chose to go with Furk, it was driven because he out of that group is the best shooter.
Brett, David Greneman, ESPN. Getting back to Kawhi, there were some possessions where you saw Ben on him, but Ben was also guarding a variety of guys. Is that something you look to in Game 2, considering the success that he had in the first round on all the defensive assignments that he got, where you just got to give him a shot on Kawhi?
Yeah, I mean, when you have Tobias Harris and Jimmy Butler and Ben Simmons, you feel like you have answers to figure out who's guarding, Siakam or Kawhi. And we had great success in the Brooklyn series with Ben guarding a point guard with his length. To your question, could we see him more on Kawhi? Maybe. Or maybe, some of the others, we just got to do a little bit better and give them help with crowds. Again, you're always smarter in the light of day after you've seen the tape. But, our intention was to have multiple defensive players on Kawhi out of that group that I just said.
Brett in the back here. With all due respect to Kawhi's performance, how difficult is it when you have Siakam out there with him and trying to match up with both those players at the same time? And can you talk a little bit about how you think you did in that regard tonight?
I think we have to do better if we're gonna win a game. If we're gonna win the series, we have to do better in relation to both of those guys. Now we can all sit here and say, kind of no kidding. The ripple effect is this is the best three-point shooting team in the NBA after the trade. And so, the balance of going at somebody and getting picked apart with Kyle or Danny, and others is real. So I feel like you certainly shake their hand, Kawhi and Pascal, like they were excellent. But, are you just going to live with that throughout a series? I doubt it. What that looks like, how frequent is it, we'll figure that out.
Thanks, Brett.
Thank you.